Hi and welcome to Chiefs Beat, brought to you by SoccerBeat, and it's Peter Ntwari with Kaizer Chiefs legend and Bafana legend Tsepo Masilela. Guys, it's a new series. We're going to have exclusive shows on Chiefs, Pirates and Sundowns, and this is the Chiefs Beat. Tsepo, what I want to talk to you about today, yesterday's game against Richards Bay, Nabi said in his post-match interview that this is not progress. There's a long way to go, and he mentioned two players, Dr. Kumalo and Sipiwe Chabalala. He said the team is nowhere near there, and he pointed upwards. So let's look at the current situation, the squad that he's got, the players that he's got, how far off the mark they are. And I think let's start at the back five. Three goalkeepers, the newborn Ntwari, Peterson and Buma. Is he going to find a solution there, or does he have to look elsewhere?
Looking at the goalkeepers, you should find a solution there, Peter. You have Bruce that he came from the academy rankings. He knows the team. He grew up at Kaizer Chiefs, and you have the new Ntwari, of which I'm not convinced. And to be honest, I don't think he's better than what they had last season. Yesterday we saw Peterson getting a chance, and I think he's gonna find a solution within the three keepers.
Tsepo, I would agree with you, with one proviso, and this is what I say to the Kaizer Chiefs fans. If any one of these three guys have not established themselves by the end of the season as a low-error goalkeeper, because all of them are prone to errors. Ntwari hasn't given me confidence yet. I feel Peterson should have done better with the goal. He had a long time to see that ball. He should have come flying out and punched it away, in my opinion. So I'm with you on condition that by the end of the season, they've shown that they are low-error keepers. Otherwise, Chiefs are going to have to get another keeper. Let's look at the back four, your real speciality. We won't talk so much about Frosler. He's been there for a while. We know he's dependable, but worried about his temperament. We won't talk about Miguel right now because he's out, but I think it's very clear. Would you agree? Very good defender. We've got to worry about his temperament. Getting too many bookings. Would you agree there?
Yes, I would agree. You need to be disciplined. We know it's a different role because you're playing defense, and sometimes you're caught as a last man, between the keeper and the striker. But you have, some of the bookings you could have avoided them.
Yeah, but basically those are two guys that he can go into the next season with. Dortley, my view, and I'd like to hear yours, fantastic on the ground, good reader of the game, good distributor of the ball, but I'd like to see him be more aggressive in the air. I think he's worried about those good looks of his. I think all that came about, if it wasn't, he should have given Peterson a shot, your ball, or he should have come in and gone it for it himself, or he should have blocked off the runner who had an easy run in there to get a little touch to score the goal. Great player, potentially. What do you think?
You're right, on the ball, fantastic. He reminds me a bit of OJ Mabizela, he's so comfortable, confident on the ball. But listen, Peter, as a defender, your primary job is to defend. We're all raving about how good he is on the ball, but I think primarily we should be raving about his defensive qualities. If he can defend, and so far what I've seen, he can defend. One-on-ones is there, but aerially, that's the concern. Also, when I looked at him when he was playing for Bafana, when they were playing the qualifiers. So that's a concern also for a fullback. If you're a left back and he doesn't win his aerial duels, the flicks and the winger is, running for the ball, is anticipating a flick from the striker to go and score. So it gives you a lot of job as a left back, to keep on covering. Every time he's going for an aerial duel, you worry that if he doesn't win the duel, I need to cover his back, So also his partner, the centre back, if he doesn't win most of his duels, it gives him an extra job that every time you have to cover this guy. But I like him.
I agree. Well, so got potential, sort out his heading, become a bit more aggressive in the air. I think a few elbows in the face at training will help that.
A few yellow cards.
Yeah. Tell me, and then the left back, your position. With all due respect, I think he's done well. This game, though, second half, he got taken to the cleaners by the little winger.
Yeah, also he's one guy that defensively hasn't. Yesterday they did take him for cleaners here and there, especially in the second half, late in the second half when Richards Bay were pushing for a goal. But he's a left back that I don't know in terms of attacking. Is he gonna bring assists? What does he bring really in terms of the attacking part of play? Because Most big teams they like playing with aggressive fullbacks that can help in the attack in the final third, meaning the assist maybe 4 or 5 per season. And to be quite honest, I haven't seen him cross the ball that much, so I wouldn't say he's got a nice left foot crossing ability. So, but defending has been decent. And he's been decent. I think the coach going forward will stick with him.
I agree. I think he's a steady Eddie when it comes to left back. He needs obviously clubs are going to look at him now and say, listen, if you go at him and dribble at him, he's vulnerable. But I think as he gets more and more confident, most left footers are nice on the ball. He may find it, he joins in more and starts getting more confident in joining the attack and getting crosses in. But so all in all, we're saying the back four looks good enough and just work to be done, which is normal training ground stuff. And they should be there for the future, especially Cross. He needs to just improve a little bit more going forward. Would you agree there?
Yes, going forward, as I said, I'm still not sure what it brings, when it comes to the attacking side of his game. But we know that they've been conceding also, so that's another worry factor with this Kaizer Chiefs team. They go to games, they concede early, or somehow they do concede. So that's also going to be a question mark.
But that is, to a certain extent, also if you look at the back five, new goalkeeper, 2 new centre backs and new left backs. So 4 out of the players are new to the team. So I think that also takes a bit of time. But back fives have got to work well quickly together. And not having a keeper that's that confident behind you, Ntwari, also as you know as defender, you want to know that this guy is commanding vocally and presence and in action. And I think Ntwari has been lacking that a little bit for a while. But I don't think Peterson brings that to the table as well as he could. I think he needs to be a bit more aggressive. But anyway, let's move on to the midfield. I really thought Maart had as from a result point of view, his best game. Made 2 goals. He's got a good pass in him, and he sees a good pass, and he can make a good pass. And his ball to Preez was superb. Is 8 his best position? He's not a holding player. And is he one for the team going forward, or is he a squad player, or is he the guy? Can he make them tick? Because someone's got to make you tick in the middle of the park.
Definitely, someone has to make the team tick, And for me, he's an 8. I've said this before, and I'm saying it again. For me, there is definitely an 8, not a 6. And when I look at that midfield, by now, I would have thought that they would have found that Katsande, that Nangomashi, someone that we know that's got a bite. Because if you look at the goals they considered, you can't just say it's the back five. You need that holding midfielder that's going to protect your centre backs and your whole back four line, so that's also a worrying factor for me. I thought by now Bloom would be established, he's the main guy in the midfield. When they announced that he's coming to join them on a season loan, I was excited. I thought by now that would be his position, And yeah, for me, coming back to Maart, I would say he's a 8, and in this Kaizer Chiefs team, I think he starts. He's a starter, and. I know he's got a pass, but most of the games he played, he was playing more diagonal pass. But yesterday, the forward pass direct to the striker, that was one hell of a good pass. If he continues doing that more often, it would make them tick.
You spot on, because a lot of his diagonal passes, you're quite right. That's a great observation. His passes have been going, towards the left wing, towards the right wing, which defense, as you know, they've got full sight of the ball, and by the time the ball is there, they're able to close down space.
Yes.
But if you're playing a ball between the lines, between the 2 centre backs, or between the centre back and the full back in virtually a straight line, you're causing big problems. But then Tsepo, isn't that a big point with regards to when Ranga plays versus Dupree? Dupree's got that ability to make a forward run, and his pace is going to make every defender a little bit concerned, especially if they're pushing up. And if they go too deep, that gives the midfield. So isn't it vital that Dupree starts for players like Maart?
It's very much vital, Peter, the point you're raising. As a midfielder or as a 10, you want that striker that's making runs behind the defenders. And if you look at the goal he scored yesterday to Preez, he was onside. He held his run perfectly. Was between the 2 centre backs. Normally, you'd see a run coming maybe as a striker, you are taught this in the early days. From inside, you go outside. From outside, you make the run inside. But how he held his run in that position, it's a different. It's, on another day, a striker is offside in that position. But for the midfielders, it's very much key if you have a mobile striker that's making forward runs, mostly forward runs. Not dropping, coming to the ball. Yeah.
I think that Dupree is wasted wide because it's obvious where his run's going to go. The ball's got to go between the fullback and the centre back, and then he's going to run onto it. It is so obvious. But when he's in the middle, he could go wide, which you don't particularly want him to, but he can spin out and then come back down, or he holds the line, and if the ball's right, he's quick. And he showed that first touch was superb, and I'm glad. Maybe leaving him out and getting to understanding the game has been a good thing. But I agree with you. I think Maart needs Dupree up front. Let's take a short break, and then we'll come back to you and we'll talk about the rest of the team. But I'm enjoying it so far. Thanks.
Hey, Taola.
All right, here we go.
Ko Betway ba tshepela hore o tshwantse o betjhe ka tsela e nepahetseng. Ka nako e nngwe ho tlamehile hore o ikhule hanyane. Ka nako tse ding o ska leka go busha tse di lahlerileng.
Nakusasa kuse olunye usuku.
Dlala ngokusemandleni wakho.
Uyathoka thusho roholo. Hopola, bet responsibly.
Welcome back. It's this Chiefs Beat brought to you by SoccerBeat, and I've got my man Tsepo Masilela, the man with the magic left foot. Cool as a cucumber you were as left back. You never looked like you were under pressure. You always looked like you could be having a glass of wine. Another story. So let's look at Shabalala, a very, very important player in this Kaizer Chiefs team. When he plays further up, closer to Ranga, he looks extremely dangerous. I thought he was sort of more as a normal midfielder, playing as a, forget the numbers, playing more left side. And I feel that the creativity was to a certain extent blunted. But if you got Dupree there, to a certain extent, he could get in the way of the pass because he could be free and he's always looking for the ball. And then you're not looking for that killer ball for Dupree. Where does he fit in if Dupree's playing? Or should they persevere with him there because he's creative and he's got a brain, they'll work it out?
For me, as a 10, because coming back to Dupree and making runs, you don't want to be too predictable and you don't want to have a one attacker making the run. Because in the final third, sometimes you don't play the first runner. He makes the dummy run looking at the second run. So he can be the guy that's making the second run. Because even also wingers, because at some point, if you're saying to Preez alone to make the run, it's going to be predictable and teams are going to work on that and what's next. So for me, he's a 10 that needs to play close to the striker, So if the striker doesn't break the line or the striker makes the first run, he can make the second run. And he's got that ability. I've seen him making runs behind defenders and scoring goals. He's got that ability.
So I agree with you. In fact, a great observation, and I take back what I said and I go with you, 110%. So you've got and Shaba behind him in a kind of free role, but it's obviously it's a midfield role. Then though you've got Maart. The one problem there is that is there an uneven balance if your wingers don't do their job, and I'm more concerned about Sereno coming back and tucking in and doing the job there on the left side when he plays. But by the way, Duba does. He's a hard worker and he's shown that. But when you play, I don't want to call it the holding midfielder, but the guy who understands the defensive part well, who can call people back. I think Oxmethethwe did a good job and deserves a little bit more time. And I've got a question mark over Blom. He doesn't seem to have, he should have hit the ground running. I'm a little concerned. But would you give Ox, what are your thoughts? Would you play Ox there or Blom? And why?
I would still play Blom. He's the main guy for that position. He's a specialist in that position. Sometimes there's positions where you need players that are specialists in that position. Ox, he's got the engine. He can run. He can break down attacks. But personally, I also think by now Blom. As I said earlier, I was excited when they got him, but Ox did well yesterday, so it's only fair to give him a chance again. But going forward, like personally, I prefer Blom over on that holding position.
Right. So then, how do you work that left-hand side? Because is Blom can't be going, or Ox can't go into that space all the time. You've got Shabalala who's playing more free, so to speak, and you've got Maart on the right, or do you have Maart on the left and Duba comes to work on that side? The trouble is when you've got Maart more on the left-hand side, Tsepo, he's right-footed. Now he's turning in all the time, and it's very clear, always got to be pushed up higher, and then I think his passing ability is better when he's playing right side. So what do you do with that? What do you do with that space there? Serena's fantastic, but he's not going to come in and defend that well. Or does he just have to do it?
It's he has to do it, but again, he's a type of player that you want him to affect the game. You want him to influence the game in the final third. So you've got players that you have to choose. Today, this is what he brings to the table. And in certain games, you have to choose that. Listen, you don't have to go defend all the way back. But coming back to the defense leading to the attack, because Cross doesn't really bomb forward all the time, so he can manage that the left hand side alone. He can delay the attack so the recovering players can come and help him. Because it's not a fullback that bombs forward like 90 minutes up and down, up and down. So I think with Cross in left back, he can solve that problem for them.
I agree. Then he pushes in the attack into a form of a left-sided midfield position, which allows Serena to go in there. When it breaks down, he can hold things up by covering the space, give Serena time to tuck in, or even if Ox or to tuck in, and they can sort themselves out. And they can go into a kind of back situation anyway when they attack him and sort of, because listen, defending space is equally as important as defending a man. So I agree with you there. And then the right-hand side, Duba got a lot of big engine, but what about someone like Vilakazi? They're not stunting his growth.
You get experience by play. I hear sometimes you're still young, you need experience. Where do you get experience if you're not playing? But for now, I'll still say let's go with Duba. Yesterday he scored. It's also good for his confidence, and going forward they will need wingers that have goals in them. They can't only rely on Preez and Ranga. So it's a good thing that he was on the score sheet yesterday. And going forward, Vilakazi, we all like him. The potential is there. Definitely the potential is there. And his time will come to shine, Peter. Sometimes youngsters, they feel pressure when they look at their neighbors. You see him Fouquet and Kocha scoring, man of the match. But I think he should be patient. And the fact that he's making the squad and he's getting minutes, it shows that the coach believes in him. And with time, he will get his fair chance.
So the question then I want to ask you is basically your summary, and I tend to agree with you. The nucleus of a very good team is there. It's understanding Nabi's requirements better and getting, just fixing that central midfield situation properly, getting the combination working properly. But I would say the bench is not big enough or strong enough. Because if you look at who Pirates can bring in, if you look at who Sundowns can bring in, if you've got a few injuries there, you can't just have Ranga and possibly Dupree as your front men. One gets injured, one's off form, one gets suspended. So would you agree the basis of Nabi's squad's there? They've just got to learn the system better and get more confidence in them. But a bigger squad is needed and a few better players to create competition. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, definitely. If you look at their bench, you don't see they do have players, but the quality, that's in the field and the quality from outside, it's not, on par. And the coach, when he mentions that Kaizer Chiefs, they still work in progress, they need to trust the process. He knows what he's talking about because I think by now he knows the squad that he's got. It can give him maybe a top 4, top 6, but realistically, you would need more quality players to come in. Maybe in the January transfer window, maybe next season. But I'm also agreeing on your point that they don't have the depth and quality of Sundowns or the Pirates team.
Spot on. So in summary, guys, Chiefs fans out there, let us know what you think. We'd like your opinions on what we said. But in summary, the work in progress, but a lot of positivity. This squad, the first 11 is should be there going forward, but new signings are needed. And my contacts within the agents, with all the football agents and within Kaizer Chiefs, there will be new signings, possibly in the Jan transfer window, but that's a very difficult transfer window, but definitely at the end of the season. And next season should be a major leap forward in signings. They definitely will bring in a striker. But obviously we know strikers are not that easy to get, especially costing money. But thanks very much, everybody. Tsepo, you're a star. This is the Chiefs Beat with Tsepo Masilela and Peter du Toit. Look out for many more. We'll be doing 2 or 3 a week. And we look forward to your comments. Ask us questions. We'll answer your questions. And it'll be a Bucks Beat and a Sundowns Beat happening down the line as well. Cheers, guys. Love you lots.